Hey, hello folks. Welcome to another Blazor Power Hour. We usually focus on Blazor Power Hour on one thing and try to get that thing done in an hour. Unfortunately, the thing that I was working with is completely broken. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about some stuff that's coming from Telerik as well. And then, of course, I'm open to answer any questions that you may have. So please feel free to drop in a chat and ask away. So I was on. I was looking for a way to use some of the new .NET 7 features, and I might as well share a screen here so you can see what's going on. And again, still working on a new system here, so a little holometer effect for a second, and then we'll get on to business. But I'm going to jump over to Visual Studio. I have .NET 7 installed. If we zoom in here on the bottom, been looking into .NET 7, some of the new features, and you can see I've done a .NET list SDKs command here in the command line, and you can see I'm on .NET 7.0.1. So that's what I have installed. And one of the new things that came with Blazor in .NET 7 was this ability to use the bind syntax in a slightly different way than we did before. So before, let's actually find an example here that I can use to kind of demonstrate what I've got going on here. I've got some samples on GitHub. Let me see. I've got an ebook out there, and I have some examples that are written up and available on Blazor Rebel, which is also something that I want to talk about today. So I'm going to jump over to Blazor Rebel. And I've got this demo here on doing a conversion using two-way data binding. So this is a simple converter where we can convert from inches to centimeters. And if I tick this up, you can see it's doing a two-way data binding and live converting centimeters back to inches and inches over to centimeters. So that's there. That's on Blazor Rebel. You can check that out. It kind of uses the two-way binding and some clever use of properties by using the getter and setter functionality of properties to kind of bind those two things together. That was a very easy way to do it, but it's not a very maintainable way. If I wanted to add more conversions, more algorithms here to do conversions, this could get quite messy pretty quick. I'd like to have maybe a separate library with these conversions, stuff like that. And that might change some of the syntax and how it works up here. So I was looking at some of the new binding syntax, see if there's something I could do cleverly to make this code cleaner. And one of the things I was looking at was this new after syntax. And what after is supposed to do is I'm going to bind a value to one of my inputs here. And then after the data binding occurs, I'm going to have a function that will run afterwards. So we have this new bind after directive that comes with .NET 7. So hacking away at this thing, I've never used it before, and I keep getting red underscores. No matter what I tried here, could not get this to work. Use my handy zoom tool here for a second. It's kind of faded out because that's the way the. Let's try this one more time. Maybe it won't fade out. No. Every time I go to get the zoom tool in, it fades it out. But maybe we can read it good enough here. And it says Microsoft ASP.NET Core Components event callback of string to system.action of nullable string. So it's trying to do a conversion from one type to another, and it cannot convert. And I tried about every type you can imagine up here and started to beat my head against the wall. Did a couple of Google searches, but it's such a new feature that I didn't get very far in my Google searches. Eventually, though, I typed in the right keywords, and I found this post. And this is on the ASP.NET Core official GitHub repo. And somebody has written here that Blazor on after not working in .NET 7 RTM release. The issue is 22 days old, which would date back to, I guess, right up to the release here. And they are using 7.001, just like I am. And the issue is still open, by the way. But they describe the actual bug, and the results are the exact same thing that I'm getting. So cannot convert from Microsoft ASP.NET Core event callback, yada, yada, yada. Scroll further through this. This is actually a known issue by the .NET team, and it has something to do with the compiler. So this feature is unfortunately not working. There are some notes in here about using the nightly builds, but unfortunately I'm not going to go through and install those. So I just want to give everybody a heads up that these new binding features, this includes the get and set binding features. These are also apparently broken. And this is updated 3 days ago by this user. Some comments in from yesterday. So it looks like this is a fairly well-known thing with the .NET folks. So if you're considering using those binding features that bind before or after, it looks like my mic was off, but now it's fixed. I didn't change anything. So hopefully it stays okay. So if you're trying to use any of these new binding syntax options, wait until that issue is fixed. Matter of fact, I can go back and post on that issue, or share that issue rather. Let me get that back up. Let's try to find recently closed tabs here. And I lost it. I was going to share it in chat here, so there it is. Come on. All right. So we'll share that in chat in case you want to follow it, if that's something you were interested in using. And my mic seems to be going in and out. And it's okay now. So, all right. Let me try to turn it down a little bit. Maybe it's clipping ever so slightly. So let me try that. Give me 1 second. Sorry again about the Hall ears. I can only use the one monitor at a time right this moment. So we'll try bringing this pot knob down just a little bit. Hopefully that helps. All right. Yeah, so unfortunately, that was going to be the demo for today. I was going to work on some ideas with that and share my findings with you all to see what we could do to either make at least that conversion thing simpler, or maybe I'll find something new to try out. I try to find clever ways of writing code so it's nice and clean and whatnot, and share it on the show. So we'll do that when the issue gets fixed. Speaking of, I was inside of Blazor Rebel. We are looking for feedback on Blazor Rebel. This is a place online, if you haven't seen this before, where you can go and you can write code in the browser and actually see it run right here in the browser. So if I hit run, we're going to compile this hello world component, run it right here in the browser, and we can also share that with folks. We can also embed these things. We can embed these views inside of blog posts, which is something I'm working on this week as well. So I have some actual examples that I can share with you. So in my article that I'm writing, I've got some samples, and these are going to be embedded right inside of the article. But if I paste these up in the browser, we can look at them live here in the Rebel. And these have to do with theming. So I'm writing an article about theming components. And if we go into preview mode up here, I'm showing how you can write some code that lets you theme your components. I know it's probably a little hard to see. I'll zoom in. If my zoom function would work here. Come on, zoom. So I've got these bubbles and I've given them customization features. So this shows you how to do it with CSS isolation, some variable tricks, and I've done a show on this before, but I thought I'd put it in written form so you could try these things out yourself, maybe integrate them into some of your applications. Compare that with how we do some of our customization features here at Telerik as well. So essentially you'd be able to come in and change these colors. You could bind them to a fancy dialog box, whatever. Reskin things in real time. It's a pretty interesting demo. But you're able to build these things right here in the browser. And you can have components. You can have, let me go back to the main one here. You can have NuGet packages. You can add NuGet packages. You can import static assets from your GitHub repos or any other online resource that you may have. Maybe there's a CDN you want to plug in here. Grab some static assets, import those into your components. You have full access to all of the Telerik UI Blazor components, and you can access the theme for those as well. So you can come in here and try all those out. If you're a customer, you can use this for creating demos for your team, whatever, and share those with your team. There's also snippets and scaffolding for those Blazor UI components. And then, of course, if you hit this little toolbar down at the bottom, you can even manage your dependency injection, things like that. So it's pretty advanced online editor here, but we're looking for feedback. How can we make it better? How can we make it cooler? Is there something that's missing that you really would like to use, but we don't have support for yet? So let us know. You can go to feedback.telerik.com. Drop us a message there. There is a REPL channel inside of feedback. There's our Telerik UI for Blazor. You can leave a message there. Let us know how we can make this better, and we'll try to add those features to the product. Then everything's going well. Hopefully the sound regulated a little bit there. But everything's going good. So again, back to that article I'm working on. I started writing this article. It's coming out as part of the C# Advent calendar. So there's this really nice Advent calendar. I think it's C#Advent.Christmas is the URL. And this kicks off tomorrow. Sound keeps going in and out. What is going on with this thing? I'm going to chalk it up to StreamYard. I'm not quite sure what the issue is with the microphone. I'll have to look back at the video and see if I can troubleshoot from the recording. So C# Advent Calendar, this is a yearly thing put on by Matt Groves. And what happens is every day there are 2 blog posts that will be released through the 25 days up till the holiday. So the article I'm working on comes out December 4th. We've got lots of great authors on here as well. We've got, let's see, Jeffrey Barnes is on the same day as me. I think this is Aztec Consulting here, who watches our Twitch stream very often. We've also got, I'm trying to find, I think my coworker Sam Basu is in here. Yeah, there he is. He claimed a spot on the 16th. Michael Eaton, we got lots of good folks writing is the idea here. Jeremy St. Clair, Matt Eland, Brendan Endrick. You might recognize some of these names from live streams. Got Sarah Dokowitz. Brendan is over at the Dev Chatter show. Great show on Twitch. So make sure you stop by, check this out. Again, it's csadvent.christmas is where you'll find that. So I'm working on a styling article there. And we go through some different iterations of how you can control the scope of style in your application. So there's a few ways to do this. We've got a global scope. If you saw my presentation on this at the .NET, the release, shoot, what's the name of that event? The .NET Conf. .NET Conf, I did this and talked about the different scopes there. But we have, CSS isolation that's built in, and we've got, just global CSS. But what if we want to have a balanced way of doing this? So there's kind of a sliding scale that we can create here, where we've got either global customization or no customization. It's all CSS isolation. Somewhere in the middle, you can set up a balanced customization. So there's going to be live links inside of the article using Blazor Rebel, so you can see all these and tinker with them in real time. Now, on another note, we can do a lot of these things with Telerik UI for Blazor. And it fits in that middle category where you have this full scope of customization that you can use from different perspectives. So you can do global customization of all of our components through something like ThemeBuilder. So if I go over to some of our components here, maybe pull up the data grid, you can see we have all these built-in themes, right? We've got, we can switch this over to a Bootstrap dark theme, and all of the components kind of align to that dark theme. And we can swap these things on the fly here inside of the demos. You can do this as well in your applications just by changing out a CSS file. And you can also edit these themes. Down here at the bottom, you can see we've got Start Theme Builder right in the lower right-hand corner. And I did a show last week, or the week before. We skipped the holiday there. But I did the last show about ThemeBuilder and how you can use ThemeBuilder to build something like the .NET 7 website theme. So you've got the purple and cyan colors there from .NET 7 in a Telerik UI for Blazor theme. So we customized that on the last show. This all aligns with the article that I'm writing because we have some of these features built into the product here. They may be implemented slightly different under the covers than exactly how I wrote it up in the article, but at least give you an idea of how to implement some of these things on your own, and then also look at how to style these components if you are a customer and use them. So one of the things that you can do with our components, if we go into this preview mode, this is a pretty cool demo here because we have a button. The button's kind of boring, but we have something interesting here, which is multiple ways to style this button. And these things are built into the component. They are just parameters that you can control. So on the component, on the button component, we have a fill. Let's see here, our button has a fill mode parameter, a rounded parameter, and a size parameter, and also a theme color parameter. So it's 4 different ways that you can granularly control the theme of your button. And it does this on a per instance basis. If you want to theme like all of the buttons, then you go to ThemeBuilder and build your theme there, or write some custom Sass code to theme all of the components at one time. But if you have a single one-off instance that you want to change the style of a button for, you can do that through some of these fill modes. So you go with a flat button, go with a solid button. There's also these the corner radiuses. You can control those as well. So you can set medium, large, and you can see the radius getting bigger on these as I go. And then full kind of gives you that pill shape button. I'll do custom in a minute. I want to show something pretty cool there. We have a couple different sizes here as well. So you can see those things changing the size, and then of course all of the different base colors here. So you can go through your theme and choose any of the theme colors. This is probably one of the more regularly used things, because you might have a success button that you want to create. You know, you have a green button that's at the end of a process or something that signals that you're going to successfully update something, or you might want to warn the user, let them know they are about to, let's see, dark error. There we go. Use the error to show that there's something destructive about to happen. Error or warning. You know, maybe you're going to have a delete function. So those are pretty common. So you just go into theme color and set the theme color to error. I'm using drop downs here just so it's easy to toggle between all of these things. But essentially, you're just setting a string value here on theme color. So I don't go into the details in the article about exactly how to do this because it's in our documentation. I do throw a mention in there, though, that this is how we handle it. But these strings actually just get converted to a CSS class. And this is pretty clever. So if I select error again and I zoom in on the code that's actually generated to the browser, you'll see a lot of classes that get attached to that button. So we have a Telerik button. It's a K button. K is our prefix to bring it into a namespace so it doesn't conflict with other frameworks. So we have K button, K solid, K rounded. So these are all of those different features. But notice the one here has K button solid error. K button solid error. So it's actually getting that string. It's building it from that theme color setting. So it takes error and it's going to lowercase that, and it's going to concatenate that on the end of that selector. So you'll see that one change. If I come back in here and choose something like primary, this is now K button solid primary. So what you can do here, knowing this, is you could say K button solid custom, whatever string you'd like to append there, just put that string in and then write a style for that. And I have that under rounded. So I've got one called custom circle, and it's a giant circle button. So I was just trying to do an example here. Don't know if maybe you need an easy button. I don't know if you remember that old stupid commercial, but maybe you need a giant button to just, you know, emergency abort button. So you create your giant circle button, and then inside of your code, what you need to have is a matching selector for that. So on the circle button, I put it under the rounded category there. So it is going to get concatenated on K rounded. So K rounded dash custom. Custom could be anything you want. I just used custom here just to show that this is a custom feature. But you could call this, you know, abort, K rounded abort if you wanted to. And then I just jacked up the border radius here to 50 to make it a giant circle and gave it height and width. So as long as you write that style in there, the component will generate that class from the text that you enter in that field. So that's how I got the rounded button there. And of course, you can still change some of the colors on that as well, because it's adding those selectors in to that piece of HTML that's output. Yeah, gotta have the big red emergency button. Sorry about the spam. We've got a spam bot joining the show. Welcome, spam bot. Saw the show on the .NET site. That was impressive. Thank you very much. Sounds like I'm going underwater. That may be a stream quality issue, not so much a microphone issue. So I'll have to see if I have a Wi-Fi issue, which I'm not running off of Wi-Fi, but you know what I mean. Internet issue. I'll have to check my upload speeds. Last thing I wanted to get into, again, it's going to be a little bit of a short show today because of the technical difficulties with that known issue in .NET 7. I wanted to highlight a release that we just did. We do big releases 3 times a year, but with Telerik UI for Blazor, we do small releases every couple months. We just had one of these releases, and we added some really cool stuff in here. So I was in here looking for some of the styling demos. So again, with appearance, writing this article, I want to make sure that I'm understanding all of the things that we have available. And some of our components, like the calendar, have small, medium, and large. Again, with our button, we have that same demo I just showed you with all of the coloring and whatnot. But our folks here on the engineering team did a fantastic job in adding something even better than all of these customizations, and that is our new adaptive responsive features. So if you look at the side panel here, we've got all of these little updated boxes saying there's something in these components that have been updated. So if you go into the combo box here and look for the bright green tag that says new, this has a new adaptive feature. So if I grab my combo box here, got the typical list, the drop-down list with the type in search type of capability. We've had that for quite a while, but with this adaptive thing, this is too cool, especially with Maui. Maui being released and having this type of feature is too awesome. Now I've got that same combo box here up in the left-hand corner of the screen, okay? Watch what happens when I tap the drop-down now. Okay, so the component has detected that we are in a mobile view, and it's giving us a mobile-friendly layout for this drop-down box. That is awesome. So I've got a sticky search box up at the top, and then I can scroll through this, and notice the scroll feature as well is nice and smooth. So I can scroll through these items and then tap it. When I tap it, that UI disappears, and I've got that combo box there. There are a couple of these. Now, there is a date picker as well, and it does a very similar type of thing. You'll notice a little bit of nuance in the UI, though. It's not a drop-down box anymore. It's a date window, so we get a nice calendar inside there. But that's a very nice feature to have. We also have a date range picker, which does something very similar as well. But instead of when you tap on the calendar disappears, this one, you select a range, and then you have a cancel or confirm button here. Now, do notice there's a little bit of an oddity with that. I'll have to let the team know that some resolutions still show that a little cramped, but other than that, that mode is really nice to have. Time picker as well. I know we've got some of these features coming to the grid too, so keep an eye on that one. And we've got the brand new signature control as well. So if you want to add like a kiosk signature type of a thing to your app, that's a very poor signature. There we go. There's my Herbie Hancock. Yeah, we've got those features coming as well. So I just wanted to give kind of a shout out to some of the new stuff that we have. make mention of the current problem in .NET 7. So watch for a hot fix for that by the .NET team. So we'll be able to talk about those new binding features, hopefully on an upcoming show here on Blazor Power Hour. And be on the lookout for that article on December 4th. That's going to drop on our blogs at telerik.com, or you can link to it off the C# Advent Calendar. I've also got an ebook coming about Maui. I'll teach you how to take a WebAssembly app, add a desktop and a mobile deployment for that, and talk about some of the things that you'll run into that you might not be aware of. If you're a web developer, you might not know that there are kind of little hurdles that you got to get through when you're developing a mobile application, because testing that thing is going to require either an emulator or a mobile device, and localhost does not work the same on those mobile devices as it does in a web development scenario. So that is covered in the ebook as well as unit testing. So if you're doing or interested in doing any unit testing with Blazor, we'll talk about that too. But thank you all for joining me for a very short Blazor Power Hour. Thank you very much. See you all soon.